Hey guys, Mike here. So, oh boy, it was all about Nvidia today and just tech in general, but it was Nvidia that drug all the semis up. And what else? The AI stocks were pumping 5, 6, 7, 8% as well. Anything you would consider an AI stock, of course. And so, we'll get into why that was. Also, Microsoft, you saw come right out of the gates hot. Something happened on that one when it comes to AI as well. And so it was just an AI day all around. And so we'll get into all that. More important, also, what happened at 1 o'clock. We talked about this on Sunday, and I'll show you because that also helped out with the pump as well. Now, before we even get started on that, I've been waiting on this for a while, and finally, the TradingView Black Friday 70% off sale is here. And the cool thing about this is you can choose your plan and save 70%, which is awesome because usually these discounts are just for new members. But what I found out this morning was and took full advantage of, if you have TradingView, you can renew early like I did this morning, and I saved myself $300. And anytime I can do that, I'm going to take full advantage of it. And if you want to, just hit the link down in the bottom right there. And I think you can pretty much cancel this anytime you want to anyway. And so just give it a shot. They're actually giving you a free month as well. And so definitely take advantage of that. Now, what happened at 1 o'clock? This is what we were waiting to see. End up getting that 20-year Treasury auction. And what happened? You saw the yields fall off a cliff. There's the 10-year. Here is the 30-year. When this happens, let's go ahead and pull up QQQ as well. You can see tech absolutely loves it. And it's like, yay, look at me. And it proceeded because it was already moving up before that. And look what happened. Boom, 0.33% pop pretty much immediately. And that's what normally happens. So the auctions are going better than they were going, and yields continue to drop. Something else you want to watch is the dollar. The dollar obviously continues to weaken. Watch this level right here I got marked out, and it's around 103.20 or something like that. Let's see if you finally get a bounce or it breaks through there and starts heading towards that ascending trend line, but it continues to be weak. You would think you'd get a bounce at some point in time. Now, oil is another one, right? It has been getting a bounce once we hit that ascending trend line right there. And, we'll see if this continues. A lot of people are calling for a bounce and maybe, a swing trade in oil. As you can see, I'm actually going to put this trend line right here to see if it actually comes up to this and meets it or not. And that would be a pretty decent move. I'm not expecting some crazy move in oil, but, which is, of course, not good for our pocketbooks, not good for inflation or anything else. But we'll see if it gets up there, what about 82, 83, whatever. That would be a pretty big move, actually, off that bounce. You remember when Goldman was calling for, like, what was it? So $150 a barrel or $200 a barrel, some crazy thing like that? And of course, going hand in hand with that is XLE. You can see you got this fallen wedge breakout, or at least trying to break out. So let's pay close attention to that as well. It's also another way to play it if energy starts to spike again. And then you got something, pay close attention to, always mark this, it's HYG. And we finally got some bearish divergence on the 4-hour RSI down there. And so let's see, because HYG tends to lead and let you know, because this is considered smart money, right? These are the high yield corporate bond ETF. Into where we're actually going, right? And so obviously we've seen a huge move up, and when you put up the S&P right beside it and stuff, you can kind of see HYG on the hourly. I mean, it's kind of trading sideways. Obviously S&P is still running up right here, and you kind of see the same thing here. But what you really want to find when you look at this, and when I say check out HYG, is usually leads the S&P, is because if you go back right there, we see that big dip in S&P. See how HYG is going up before you get the turn. And this is when we were trading down in October to hit that bottom. So sometimes it can be a really good indicator to say, hey, we think things are fixing to turn around and things are bottoming. And then, I've showed you, if you've been with me long enough, I've showed you this many times over. So just pay close attention. HYG is important to watch right there and see if that bearish divergence plays out. Now, QQQ got yourself a new 52-week high. Took out the July highs. A lot of people say there's no way it's going to be done. There it is. And you can see what's happening. This is where we talk about fair value gaps. It's a weekly fair value gap. I talked about this weeks ago, and I've been telling you guys about this. It's like a magnet, right? It's sucking up into it, using it as liquidity right there, and so it's moving up in there. I'm going to go ahead and mark some certain levels here we'll be hitting next, or maybe hitting next, unless we get a pullback here, which would be nice, but we'll have to see. And so, it's only, as we measure this out, if I'm not mistaken, like 0.33% away from this. There's all-time highs right there. And so when we come over here and try to measure these out, you can see we are not very far away, guys. 0.48% away from the next level, and then from all-time highs, which is just crazy, right? like 3.2%. Like, that is it, man. And easily, if they start flooding the Magnificent Seven again, you know, you can see this going. But the reason why it's still heading, and this is what we're kind of waiting on for a long time, right, was this right here. I told you, watch these equal weight ETFs. As soon as the breath starts to come back, all those just beaten down, forgotten stocks, that's when you really get a move, right? And what are you seeing? The QQEW was just as high as the QQQ, which means other stocks are pulling up the market, not just the Magnificent Seven. And because Nvidia and Microsoft are really the only two, and I'll give it to Meta, which I'm going to cover in Netflix. So 4 of your 7 were moving good, but there was a lot of the stocks that were green. And you can see right here, look at this. This is just the QQQ as far as the funds flow. I mean, you go back to 2013, we never seen funds flow in that much. I mean, that is crazy. Not even in 2020 when we hit that bottom, not in 2022. And so you can just see that's the hedge funds trying to play catch up, right? Now, IWM is another thing you got to watch, right? Small caps. None of these things have been beat down. Another green day today, nothing magnificent, but again, that 200 and that 100 right there acting as a brick wall. Okay, that's what you got to watch out for. Again, a lot of gaps above. You know, you look at this trend line right here. It was the breakout, retest, bounce, and so that still looks good for it right now. I'm watching it like a hawk on this one because this is just that, and those equal weight is if they continue to push these dead stocks up, right, then the market's going to move because you know money's going into the Mag 7 no matter what. That's just the way it is. Now, of course, as we'll talk about in a minute, there's something that'll affect that. But you can see here it is. It always trades through these fair value gaps. That's how you want to look at IWM. If you ever want to try getting out of this thing, pull that volume profile up, VRBP, when you're searching for the indicators in TradingView, and it'll come up for you. Just adjust how you got to adjust. But it's this one, AMD. Tesla's a big one for it. Trade right in those low volume gaps. They fly right through it like a hot knife through butter. Now, Tesla started out down today, and what happened? Shocker, Jeffries ends up downgrading them to a $210 price target, and the dumbest thing I've ever heard, they're urging the company to cancel the Cybertruck. What the heck you want them to do? I don't even like the Cybertruck personally, but you want them to like literally fold shop up on that big Texas facility or something? I mean, that's like insane right now, but we'll see how that one goes. But anyway, it recovered. I'm putting this on a shorter time frame. This is exactly what happened. It wedged its way in and then broke out higher later on in the day and stuff. Not by much, though. It was definitely the lagger for sure. There's no doubt about that. Look for Friday's high to be broken tomorrow. If we can continue moving up, they want to keep moving Nvidia up. I think you'll probably see that as well. But again, larger time frame, big wedge right there. So let's see how that goes. Now, Nvidia is what we talked about. This is what can change things on the AI front, on semiconductors, and absolutely crush the market if they don't do well in earnings after the bell. But what pushed it today to all-time highs again was that call volume, man. Those call sweeps are coming in all day long. It never stops. And you can just see, I mean, look, traders, investors, whatever, just counting their money all day long right there because market makers were selling it to them, and then they were hedging by buying the shares, and it just kept pushing it up to all-time highs. Now, of course, we got earnings tomorrow night. None of this really matters unless they end up increasing. I believe they got to increase their revenues by, like, is it $10 billion? This next earnings call, whatever it is. So, in order to make it, but look, again, it's how the market wants to take what they got to say, right? How many times we've seen a company literally do a double miss, get on the call, talk about next quarter, the quarter after, they like what they hear, and they start pushing it up, right? And so, let's see how this reacts tomorrow in the morning and afternoon before we even go into earnings and see if it continues to push up. If the call flow continues to push up, it's going to push up. But it's just all about what they got to report on the bell. And again, BlackRock's, really helping this one out. So we'll see what they have done this last quarter to help push those numbers up again. If you're a member, make sure you go watch that video I put out on that. It's under members videos. Now, Microsoft started out of the gate up 2%. I'm not really familiar with this guy, but what happened was Sam Altman and Greg Bachman will be joining the Microsoft team. And I guess he was the CEO, one of these guys, OpenAI, and now their employees like having a rebellion, something saying they're going to leave the company if he's not the CEO again. I don't know if he got reinstated or not, but that was the big thing. He was going to lead the Microsoft AI team and stuff. And of course, they have a big $10 billion investment in OpenAI, I believe. So that was the reason why you saw Microsoft going up. We'll see how that whole thing works out. Now, Meta, we talked about this. Once you get above that level right there, which it came up, it retested, kept going. Again, the there's thin up here. Okay, that's all-time highs to the left, right over there, if I'm not mistaken. And you know, when we pull out on the weekly right here, you can kind of see there's the all-time highs, and what is it feeding into? Right there, what's it got to draw to? You got multiple weekly fair value gaps to draw into as well. And so when we look at this, I'm going to put one right here because that's going to be the next level we're going to, which is 353. And then above that, obviously, you not only have fair value gaps, you also have an RTH gap right there below that 1 weekly fair value gap. So keep that in mind. But that's what they're pushing up into at this point in time. And so, you know, people love Meta. I told you, it's just one of the things where when you compare it to a lot of the other Magnificent Seven, believe it or not, it's actually cheaper, considered cheaper than that. So that's what everybody wants to keep saying. So we'll see if they want to continue this push, because guess what else is leaving behind? It's leaving behind fair value gaps. So it'd be nice to get a pullback, maybe to the level of, what is that, like 330 right there that it just broke, and then proceed from there. Now, Netflix, we talked about this last week, right? This RTH gap, which was left from earnings, right? They pushed it up to the penny right here today. Boom. We can take that off. It's finally done. Mission accomplished for them right there. When you go out on a weekly on this one right here, what do you have? You have a fair value gap on the weekly chart that hasn't been mitigated completely yet, right? We came up there. Looks like in July, that's where we sold off down from. Above that, you got more fair value gaps up there that haven't been mitigated. Those are like magnets, you know, but also what's it leaving behind? It's leaving behind fair value gaps, right? And so we'd love to see, you know, see if it rejects off of that level right there, where it got rejected in July maybe, then come back down that trend line, maybe get a bounce from there. Because one thing is starting to happen here, you're starting to see Netflix normally, if you notice, believe it or not, it doesn't really stretch out from its moving averages. When it does, it definitely comes back. You know, I thought this would be a high flyer, but it's really not. And what you're seeing now is starting to get overly stretched with this crazy run up right here from the moving averages. So probably in December maybe is when you'll finally get to see this. But look what happens when it hits that July high right there, and see if you finally get a pullback. That's really what I'm looking at. Now, Palantir, one of the AI stocks, been pumping. Again, it's easy. It's in this fair value gap is another one. Trades right in these volume gaps right here. And it's going to 25, right? As long as Nvidia reports good earnings and keeps moving up, it's going to 25. Again, if Nvidia tanks, it's going to drag a whole bunch of these stocks right down with them. You can almost bet money on that right there. So that's just what we got to watch out for. Now, when it comes to earnings tomorrow, you're going to have a lot of retailers right there in the morning. You know, we'll see how the market accepts this right here. A lot of retailers, of course, like Walmart, Target, Home Depot, all of them have been, you know, kind of saying, watch out. And then, of course, you'll have Nvidia after hours. None of the rest of them honestly matter. I mean, there's more retailers, of course, so it's just a boatload of retailers. And then when it comes to economic data, you'll have the Chicago Fed National Activity Index. You'll end up having really nothing else besides FOMC minutes at 2 o'clock that really should affect the market, and no kind of bond auction, which is really good. And really watch NVIDIA. Watch how NVIDIA does tomorrow. Remember, Tuesday's kind of a 50-50 crapshoot during Thanksgiving week. Wednesday, might be able to play a little bit in the morning. Friday, don't even bother because the volume should be almost dried up to nothing. That's why you see a lot more red on Friday, I think, than any other day, because everybody's gone for the holidays. So just keep that in mind. I won't be doing a video on Thursday or Friday. I will be doing Saturday's video, so get your questions in if you want to put them in Saturday's video, of course. And then we'll do Sunday to set up for next week. And so, you know, let me know how your day went, what you're predicting for NVIDIA tomorrow. You think it's going to pump to 550, 600 after earnings, or you think it's finally going to drop is the question. So anyway, please hit that like and subscribe button. Don't forget to take advantage of that 70% off of TradingView. You guys are always asking me about TradingView. Just hit the link down at the bottom right there, guys. Have a good one, and I'll see you tomorrow.